Hey guys, good morning. My name is Priya. I lead the Credit HR organization for PayU. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the PayU campus. It's really exciting to see so many faces here early in the morning, having fought the background traffic and being here on time. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Want to tell you a little bit more about our second innings program, and I'm really excited to share this with you because this is something which I myself am very passionate about. I guess it was maybe 7 to 8 years back when at that time I was with Yahoo as the HR leader for them. And when this whole diversity topic started becoming a big buzz in the public world, where every company was talking about diversity numbers. Likewise, we had our numbers as well. So we put our target saying we have X percentage of women employees in the organization because there is obviously a lot of merit to having a diverse population. So we agreed to that, and we put a whole bunch of initiatives around that. And obviously, we were able to meet the target. We went on to some really good campus, got some really great talent on board, and our numbers looked really great. We went like that for maybe 1 or 2 years, and then slowly started realizing that something was still not right. I mean, something we had our numbers, but the actual diversity in the organization was not to the level what we would want. And and that was a time when we said, okay, let's do some double click on these numbers to see if there is something more that we should be doing. It was interesting when we went back and looked at the numbers. We started segmenting these numbers by different levels in the organization in terms of the grades. So your entry level, we looked at it. The numbers were looking fabulous. I mean, we had a whole bunch of really diverse pool of employees in those brackets. Then we went to our mid-level management, looked at the population there, so saw slightly different numbers there, slight dip in the overall percentages. Then when we went from the mid-level to the senior level, and that's when we started seeing the real difference, the real story, where the numbers looked dramatically different from what it was at the entry level. There were certain levels where there were no women representation at the leadership level, especially the higher you go, the representation was really poor. So that told a story for us that we are not truly being to the true sense of what we wanted to drive. We are not representing that in the organization. So went back, did further research on where is the gap being created. So that's when we found out that you bring in some great talent from different campuses. They come on board, they work with you, they learn 2 to 3 years down the line. They're at a point where they're getting married. They're either on the family way, going for higher studies. Multiple reasons we're losing a whole bunch of this talent in that 2 to 3 year window, and it was so-called a career break at that point, with the thought that they would be coming back into the organization, a few years down the line. We lost track of that employee population. We never tracked whether how many of those employees were coming back to us. And when we really actually went to the roots of what was going on, we found out that many of those employees who left it at that point in their career journey never came back, right? Or majority of them did not come back. And the reasons were pretty interesting when we actually went and talked to many of them. Was either that we as an organization was not supportive for them to be coming back, where we didn't have the right policies, right structure for, let's say, a new mom to come back, the flexible work hours and the nursery care and stuff like that, or a whole slew of other reasons as well. So that's when it truly became evident to us that we need to drive things differently for women employees, especially depending on the career journey they are on and what their needs are. We have to drive our programs and our setup, our policies, practices in the organization to help them come back into the organization. So that was many years back, and to the time the different organizations. And when I joined PayU 7 months back, it was pretty interesting. The first thing I heard was month into my time here, heard about the second innings. I was so pleasantly surprised to see this, and I completely endorse it. And you can see the passion with which I speak about this because it is close to heart. And I think this is what will make a difference for us in terms of driving, totally making sure that we have a diverse workforce in the organization. So what is second innings for PU? Second innings is an opportunity for women who, like you, who've taken a career break and want to come back into the organization. We provide a platform which is essentially a 6-month period, which is almost like an internship, like a probation period, where you work on projects. You're not a full-time employee with us, but at the same time, you get to work on some meaningful projects for 6 months. And at the end of the probation period, provided performance supports, you will be converted into a full-time position. During this 6-month period, there are different things which the organization has put together to make sure that you are actually successful in in actually building your network and your confidence in the organization. So you have a buddy that will be assigned to you who will work very closely with you to kind of help you navigate through the system. This will also give you an opportunity to, like I said, to build your internal network in the organization. As a result of all of this, you yourself build your confidence and upskill your talent. At the end of 6 months, you're in a better position to judge whether AU is the right organization for you to continue your journey on. Hopefully it is, and then you convert yourself to a full-time position and you continue with us as a full-time employee. So that's what I'm hoping for every single person in this room. I know that there is a recruitment process put in place for you post this discussion today, post the panel discussion we've scheduled today. But yeah, I wish you the very best, and I hope to see many of you as part of the PayU journey going forward. With that, thanks so much again for being here. And I would like to also introduce Neha Bagaria, who is actually the founder of Jobs for Her. She's been the partner with us in our journey in making sure that we are able to attract the right kind of talent for an initiative like this. And with her help, again, we are able to make sure that we have so many of you here with us today interested in looking at PayU's second innings program. With that, over to you.
So I thought that if we've got this opportunity, I would love to share with you a little bit of my own journey, and I hope that you'll be able to pick up some nuggets from there that might help in your restarter journey. So I wanted to start with the why I took a break in my career. In a nutshell, it was when a baby gave birth to a mother. I had actually never thought ever that I'll take a break in my career. It was just, work is something that you just do. And then when my firstborn came along, I decided that, I want to devote everything I have to this precious little child. And that break ended up being for 3.5 years. Luckily for me, 3 years later, my second son came along. And when he came about, again, there was a big transformation in my life. Because I realized, because for the first time I had to shift my attention from my firstborn to somebody else, his younger brother. And I realized he was fine. Also by then, a lot of frustration had definitely seeped in where, I felt like I needed to do something which was around closer to what I had studied, what I had worked so hard towards. Even though motherhood was extremely physically, emotionally challenging, it wasn't intellectually stimulating at all. And there were a lot of those reasons that came together when finally one day I decided that I needed to get back to work. For me, it was easy to actually jump back into a career because I was working in a family business before I had taken a break. So I literally could kind of twist my husband into giving me my job back at the company. And I restarted. But the year that I restarted my career, it was such a positive experience for me, and not just for me, but it was a positive experience for my kids. It was a positive experience definitely for my husband. And it was a very positive experience for the company too, to have me back, that it made me start questioning all the women around me that, hey, why aren't you getting back to work? And that kind of a journey is what really got me to get back to work. So I'm going to rewind now. This March we turned 5 years at Jobs for Her. So I'm going to rewind to 5 years ago and, hope some of it will still sound true to you. I think when I was getting back to work, there was this one particular quote of Sheryl Sandberg's, who's the founder of Lean In. And I read her book, and that's kind of a big inspiration behind Jobs for Her for me. And there's this one particular quote that really stood out to me. And she says that fear is at the root of so many of the barriers women face. Fear of not being liked, fear of making the wrong choice, fear of drawing negative attention, fear of overreaching, of being judged, fear of failure, and what she calls the holy trinity of fear, which is being a bad mother, bad wife, bad daughter, slash in India I would say bad daughter-in-law. I would love to see a show of hands of if any of you have ever felt any of these fears. Yes, exactly. Frankly, when I read that quote, I felt every one of those fears. It made me realize that, you know what, I'm not alone. And I think that's something that you all need to realize also in this room. When you all saw the number of hands going up, we're not alone. This is actually not something abnormal that we are going through when we are facing all these fears, when you're facing all these barriers. This is actually the norm. And for me, that restarted journey really started off with that inspiration. My biggest inspiration was actually my 3 closest friends. We were, best friends since we were, I don't know, like 5 years, 6 years old. They were all extremely, and they are extremely capable, ambitious women. But one of them was a lawyer who stopped working after she delivered her twins. One of them was a fashion designer who had created a really successful label and then had to give it up because her husband's job moves them every 2 years to another country. And one of them was a business student who ended up getting married and moved to Kanpur at the age of 20. And after that found it very difficult to get started over there. And all 3 of them, their careers had pretty much come to a full stop. Yeah, and I knew them. I knew how capable they were, and what a loss it was, not to them so much, but to our society, to our economy, to our country, to their families, that we weren't being able to harness their true talent. That's what made me actually start looking a little bit into the numbers behind this problem in India. Yeah, and the numbers are actually quite appalling. So if you were to see a typical class of students graduating, 40% of them are women today. And that's a huge number, and that's a battle that our mothers have fought for us. Yeah, because that wasn't true in our mother's generation. But out of those 40 women, only 8 even pursue a career in India. The others, get married off right after they graduate, many times while they're still studying. Many of them are told that, हमारे घर की बहू काम नहीं करेगी. Like the whole focus of having a good education has become to find a good husband and not a good job. Yeah. So there's that big drop off that happens where these women don't even start their first job. But out of the 8 who do start a job, 4 of them drop out within 3 years. Yeah. So which means 50% of all working women in India are dropping out of their careers within 3 years. And why 3 years? Because that's literally the biggest reason why women take a break has by far been motherhood. That's not the only reason. There are lots of other reasons, right? One could be marriage. We call it actually the 4 M's. There's motherhood, there's marriage, there's mobility where you become a trailing spouse, and there's medical care to the elderly. Yeah. Or there could also be just a medical burnout or medical problem that the woman herself had. When I saw these kind of statistics, when I saw this kind of data, that's when I decided that, somebody has to do something about this. So why shouldn't I? And that's when JobSaha came about. The first thing I did when I wanted to actually, and again, please keep in mind when I was starting JobSaha, I was pretty much a woman returnee myself. Yeah, I was at my lowest low of confidence. I had no idea how we are going to do this, what we are going to do even. I just knew what is the problem that we're trying to solve. And I remember the first thing I did was to reach out to mentors. Priya said in the talk before mine that 6 months will give you a chance to start networking with the people in the organization and start building that mentorship. Nothing is more important than having those right mentors guiding you. And what did I do for that? I reached out to everybody I knew. And sometimes we as women, we forget what kind of strong networks we have. We have our school friends, our college friends, our building friends, our husband's friends, our ex-colleagues, our children's friends, parents. And if we just start reaching out to them, nobody will say no to meet you for 15, 20 minutes. Okay, and each one of those conversations will lead to 5 other conversations. They will connect you to 5 other people, and somebody somewhere will end up being that perfect mentor who you were looking for, who can guide you through that process. So what did I do? I started reaching out to all these people. In fact, 2 of the mentors who I met at that time, through these 5 years, they're still my mentors of JobSaha. They're still my advisors. One of them is Dhruv Shenoy. He used to be he's the one who launched Monster in the Gulf area. So he's the one who kind of literally handheld me through this process of building an online platform which can help millions of women versus doing it from an offline model, which I would have been more towards, which would have helped hundreds of women. Yeah. I also had the ex-HR head of HP and AXA, Shubha Kulkarni. She became my advisor to make me understand what are the challenges that companies face when it comes to getting women back. But my biggest mentor actually ended up being my little brother. He runs a startup himself. I think some of you might have heard of it, Dream 11. This is my brother who's 4 years younger than me. And he actually is the one who convinced me that you have to build this as a tech startup. You know, in a room full of techies, I have to, like, admit to you all, my brother's words to me was, you know what, Nihadi, I think you're the most non-techie person in the world to build a tech startup. Because at that stage, I still am quite non-techie, as you might call me, okay? But at that stage, I was so much worse. Like, I was one of those women, like, so I had bought myself a laptop and I told them I want, you know, a socket for the internet and a socket for the printer. And I was just like, all this wireless and Bluetooth doesn't work for me. Like, I was doing the whole cash on delivery. I'm talking about now, you know, 2004. So I was doing all the, you know, cash and delivery, etc. So the whole prospect of starting then a tech startup was completely daunting for me. And it was extremely critical for me to have these mentors by my side who kind of made me realize where all the problems are, but also gave me the confidence that I can do it. Yeah. These mentors are also the ones who made me realize that there was a lot of reskilling that I needed to do. So a lot of things had changed, right, in the 3.5 years that I had stopped working. I have graduated in, so my majors at Wharton was finance and marketing. Yeah, so I've graduated with a business degree in marketing from Wharton, which is one of the best business schools in the world. But now when I had to look at doing marketing for JobSaha, all the rules of the game had changed. Because now it was all digital marketing, it was social media marketing, it was SEO. I didn't know what SEO stands for at that point. But even while technology has made it so much difficult for us to get back to work because so much has changed, it has actually made it so much easier because the ways to reskill yourself are also at your fingertips. You can do it in the comfort of your home. Everything is available online. So I signed up for courses left, right, and center and devoted a lot of time in just updating myself. Also, even just picking up the new terminology. You know, so that when I'm in conversations, I don't feel like a complete dud when they say that, of course, you've got to get your SEO, SEM, SM right. And I'm just like, wait, what? Plus, in a city like Bangalore, there are such amazing initiatives all the time, right? There are accelerators, there are incubators. There are people who are happily for free ready to give you the kind of skilling that you require. All you have to do is grab those opportunities and go for it. So once I had the mentors in place, once I got the reskilling, which kind of helped me update my skills, but frankly, more than my skills, it helped me update my confidence. That's when I set together a small team, which went knocking down for opportunities. Yeah. So the first team that I set in place, we were 5 women. We started working from social at Church Street. By the way, all those 5 women are still part of JobSaha after 5 years. And like in the beginning, and one of them, her name is Pritha, who right now heads one of our sales teams. Our first whole year of JobSaha sales or business development was calling companies and convincing them that they need to hire women returnees. Yeah, that was for us, sales meant persuading them that just come for free on our portal and just list jobs for women returnees because you need to hire them. When we started JobSaha, we had 10 brave companies who raised their hands and they said that, you know what, I believe in this, I want to hire those women returnees. Today we have 7,000 companies on our platform across India, okay, who are hiring women.